All right, let's check this video out. This woman is. I've done a few videos of this woman before. She is a single woman in her late 30s. So interesting.
That I went on a date with like a week and a half ago. And this is kind of a good example of how sometimes the married people or couples in my life unknowingly or unintentionally like discredit maybe what I'm feeling as a single person. As I had mentioned, the date went really well. I There was a few things that happened on the date that kind of gave me the ick. And the way I am is I don't always know right in the moment what I'm feeling. I need time to kind of process how it went, what I was feeling, how I want it to move forward. I'm not an all in type of girl from the start. So a few days after the date had passed, I was kind of feeling like, I don't actually know if I want to see him again. There are a few things, like I said, that I was just like, I don't know if I like that. However, it was my birthday last week. Excuse me. And the day before my birthday, he actually was like, "Can I meet you somewhere? I have something for you." So I had him meet me at a Starbucks because I didn't want him knowing where I live. So he brings me this really big, beautiful bouquet of flowers and like a birthday gift. And it was very kind and thoughtful, but I could feel myself internally get super annoyed because I felt like it made me feel pressured to have to see him again. And my first thought was, oh, now I absolutely have to see him again, at least one more date. And the more that I thought about it, I was like, that's not a very empowering stance to take. And that's the trap I can sometimes fall into, is that codependent trap where it's like I have to do this thing for this person so that they feel good about themselves. And I realized, but I'm not feeling good about myself. And at the end of the day, he's a grown man who asked me to do that without me hinting or even giving any sort of inclination that he needed to do that. And again, I don't want to take away from how kind it was. But even if I did decide to go on another date with him, that wouldn't be fair to him because it would just be continuing to lead him on. So I made the really hard choice to have to text him and thank him for the gift, but then tell him I don't feel a romantic connection. And that's something that I felt really bad about doing. And honestly, it would have been easier to just ghost him altogether because that would have spared me from having to say something that could potentially hurt his feelings. But ghosting would have hurt his feelings probably even more. So at the end of the day, I'm sure that he felt hurt, but I also would have hurt him even more if I continued to lead him on. And then there are also people in my life that thought I was giving up on it too quickly. But at the end of the day, I had to trust my gut and what my body was telling me when I would think about going on another date with him. And it was
This is why um, I've done videos, especially TikTok videos, of saying I support women staying single. If you are said, let's say, if you are a woman that say I'm happily single, great, stay single. Get out of the dating market. Stop dating. Stop dealing with men. Truly decenter men. Okay, because honestly, you're not fit to be in a relationship. And I'm going to show you other videos where honestly this woman is not fit. She is not fit to be in a relationship, to be a partner. Um, and even in this video, you can sense it. Okay, you can sense it. This woman is honestly, just, you're better off alone, right? If you are happy, okay, and she's 39 now. If you are honestly at this age, and you've had this is the thing. I believe when it comes to dating for women, it's easy. It's on easy mode. And if you're failing so badly, okay, if you're having such difficult time, honestly, like if you can't beat the game on easy mode, you might as well just stop playing the game. My honest opinion, okay? If you can't beat the game on easy mode, just stop playing. The game wasn't for you. And that's perfectly fine. You know, I believe that I'm not demonizing, I'm not being sarcastic. It is perfectly fine if you just can't play the game, right? You can't play the game right. So just be a career woman, right? There's plenty of career women that stay single for the rest of their life. Awesome. Probably fit that. This is also another thing where this woman clearly proves why men have stopped giving flowers. Because here's the thing. If you like the man, it don't matter if he does nothing for you. It don't matter if he doesn't open the door for you. It doesn't matter if he doesn't pay for the date. It doesn't matter if he doesn't give you flowers. You would still want him, right? If you liked him, if you thought he was attractive, you wanted him. Now, if you don't even give a shit about him, if you don't like him, it doesn't matter what he does for you. Buy you flowers, open the door, be such a gentleman, like be chivalrous, be such a nice guy, be whatever you want. Okay, you're just not into him. And this is what a lot of men have figured it out. That is why courting, being a gentleman, buying flowers, open the door, all that shit out the window. It's gone. Most men don't want to do it. Most of it, it's done because men realize that if you like him, if you actually like him, he doesn't need to do that shit, and you will still like him. It's the men that need to love bomb you. It's the men that need to try extra harder because honestly, you don't really want him. You're not really attracted to him. You have the ick. So those men need to try harder to get you to change your mind. I've said this before where honestly, I always feel that it is easier to what was it? To reinforce an already established idea. I.e., if you like the person, it's easier to, uh contribute to that feeling of you already attracted the person. So it's not that hard, okay? You could do the bare minimum and they will still be happy with it because they already into you. They already wanted you. Now, it's harder to change a person's mind, i.e., if they're not into you, right? They find you an ick. Well, it's a whole lot harder to change their mind to like now you change them their ick into attraction. It's a whole lot harder. So perfect example, right? She's proven why men have stopped giving women flowers. Men have stopped honestly the whole gentleman hoarding all that shit. Why bother? Why bother? Now I'm gonna show you a little bit more about this woman because honestly, this is what's out there. Right? It's like we talk about, oh, there's no good men out there. Really? For what? Let's just say for what, okay? Sure, if there's no not a good not any good men out there. But what are men getting? What are men getting in return to be whatever women desire? Okay. Top tier attraction. Okay. Top tier attraction men get what? We get a lot of damaged women. Mm, here's two videos of her just
Single, childless. I have two cats, and Mother's Day is coming up, and I've already been thinking about it a lot because I would say the last year of my life, I've really had to process the fact that it's a possibility that those things may not ever happen for me. Even if I do meet the man of my dreams, it's a possibility that I may not be able to have my own children. I don't know if I can. It's a possibility that I may not meet my partner. And it's a really strange place to be because there's a level of grief that I've had to walk through. Um, and there's almost like a level of rebirth in the sense of what can I dream my life to be like without those things? Can I find fulfillment? Can I find ways to mother without it having to be my own children? And Mother's Day always gets a little triggering for me because I see people that I love being celebrated for being moms and as they deserve to be. I'm not taking away from that. And then I have this weird sadness of that may never be me. And am I going to be okay with that? Ever since I was a little girl, I used to dream of being a mom. I used to play dress up. I wore a ball underneath my dress pretending I was pregnant. I dreamed of having 3 kids, and I just never thought that I would be 39 and that dream would feel so far away. And I guess I'm sharing this because I know there's other people in the same boat where maybe you've come to a place in your life where you don't necessarily want to give up hope, but you also want to be realistic. And I'm right there with you. I'm 39.
this is a thing where why do I say I have no sympathy for women when it comes to dating? Because it Seems sad, right? Women are eating this up. Women find, "Oh my god, I'm so with you. I'm so sad with you," or whatever feeling, okay? Here's the thing. You did it to yourself. It's hard for me to have sympathy, okay? Let's say let me give a kinda maybe a clear-cut example. It's hard for me to give sympathy to a person who has no arms when they are the ones who cut off their own arms. They did it to themselves. Kinda clear cut, right? It's hard for me to be sympathetic to women being single and childless. If they are if they are talking about it, okay? If they are saying, "Oh, it makes me sad," okay? If they're complaining about it. You did it to yourself. You did it to yourself. You had let's go hypothetical, not 39 years, right? But let's say you had say 19 years. 19 years, okay? To be able to find a partner. You had uh, even 19 years, fine, 19 years. You had 19 years to find a partner. And here's the thing, on easy mode. This is I always like to make the distinction. Men's issues, women issues are honestly worlds apart. Even for an average woman, you had opportunities, you had chances. You chose to not take those chances, which is fine, right? It's all the more power. I'm not telling women to just settle for any man. I'm not telling women to do that. I'm telling you that you had the opportunity. Most women, even average women, have more options than their counterparts, average men. You had the chances. You just chose to one, not choose the ones you picked, and two, you know, just be attracted to men that men that you can't get, or or just have high expectations where what, none of these men fit into your dream man. That's the thing where you know that's the delusion, and I think a lot of women are falling into that delusion. My dream man. It's like, seriously, again, you're wishing for Prince Charming, you're wishing for the perfect man out there instead of being more realistic where no one's perfect. Like a man for the qualities that you must have. Like, he's a good man. He's a loyal man. He's going to be a good father. He loves and respects you. Not that what, he's awkward or whatever negativities. Right. That's the problem where hard for me to be sympathetic to women who play the game on easy mode and fail from playing on easy mode.
Commented or DM'd me asking why I think that I am single. And that's a great question. I think that there's a variety of different reasons why I am single at my age. Some of it has to do with belief systems that I was raised with, some of it has to do with my own personal issues. So I guess let's talk about it. Now, a huge reason why I think I'm still single at 38 is because I spent a lot of my life really afraid of men. I think a big part of that is because growing up, my mom was afraid of men. She was always afraid that somebody was going to SA me or do something inappropriate to hurt me. And because of that, since I was very young, she would constantly ask me questions. Has this ever happened to you? Or did this person ever do this to you? And it started to kind of send the message that, oh, men aren't safe. They could do really bad things to you. And I think she had all good intentions. She wanted to protect me, and I'm not going to pretend to know what it's like to be a mom. I was her oldest daughter, a first time mom, having been someone who experienced that herself, wanting to protect her daughter. But I think maybe I was too young for that type of information and those types of conversations, that it created a huge fear of men for me. I also talked about how I was raised in purity culture, and in purity culture, it's really ingrained in you basically that men are animals and you need to dress modestly, and men can't control their thoughts, and sometimes they can't control their actions. And so that also paints a picture of men just being out of control animals. And that really scared me. But not only that, I was also very afraid of emotional intimacy with men. I had a great dad growing up, but he was also very emotionally distant. So I never had a good example of what it was like to be emotionally connected to a man in a healthy way. On top of that, I saw a lot of different men in my life and my family cheat on their wives. And I made a very conscious decision one day. I'll never forget it. I was driving in my dad's truck, and I remember thinking, I will never get married because either he will cheat or maybe I'll cheat. It was a very formative time for me where I just decided I'll never get married because I don't ever want to experience that type of pain. I've done a lot of work in therapy and even now trying to just reframe my mind on how I think about men and how I think about marriage. Unfortunately, there are a lot of men that cheat, and I think my first real experience with a boyfriend that I was in love with, I thought we were going to get married, he cheated on me, so that just reaffirmed what my fear already was. I think I also shared that I didn't really start seriously dating until about 2 years ago at 36. And when I tell you I was absolutely sick to my stomach, terrified the first date that I went on, and it wasn't my first date ever, it was just my first date in a while. Like, I was actually thought I was going to vomit. I was so sick to my stomach. And now I've done it enough to where I don't feel that way anymore. Maybe I'll feel a little bit nervous, especially if maybe I'm meeting a guy that I was really interested in. But I literally had a physical response. Like, there was so much fear inside my body that I felt absolutely terrified. And of course, I feel like with any of these types of questions, it's really easy to spiral and go on a rabbit trail and be like, and then this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And so I'm not trying to blame anyone else for why I am single at my age. I'm just trying to share my story and then take up responsibility for my part of it. And sometimes we can't change the way we were raised. We can't change maybe the fears that our parents passed down to us. But once we're older, we can do the work to try to reframe our brain to see it in a different way. And that's been really hard to do. Thankfully, I've met some really good guys over the last, few years, but maybe they just weren't a match. Maybe they were emotionally unavailable, so on and so forth. And I have to be really careful not to spiral and just get in a place of like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Because that's really easy for me to do.
This is a thing where I've said this countless times before. Why do I say as women age, they become bigger red flags? It's trauma. Because of trauma. As women age, they don't gain less trauma. I mean, at best, they gain no trauma, at best, but usually they gain trauma. And it just makes you, the more trauma you gain, especially for a woman, makes you less viable as a partner because you gain these, mental these walls or these mental, I don't know, aspect, a negative mental aspect, right? Distrusting of men, negative men, all these things. Okay, so it just makes you not someone that would be a good partner to. So it's sad, right? That part is sad, but again, you're an adult. You're an adult. You choose how you want to feel. So it is what it is. So again, that's why I say a lot of times, as women age, they become bigger red flags. And this is the thing where, just like the mother did, okay, what's happening right now? Where at least online discussion, I'm not saying maybe real world, but definitely online discourse is the hate of men, is the labeling of men are dangerous. That is what you this right here is what you create. These unstable women, these um just women that would be terrible partners. Because again, if you're not gay or a lesbian or whatever, well, you're going to interact with men. You're going to deal with men. But if you have the mental image that men are scary, men are to be feared, men are to be hated, all this stuff. Well, guess what? You ain't getting men. Especially you ain't getting mentally healthy men or good men. Okay, only bad men would deal with this shit because they were like, "Fuck it, I'll deal with it, so I could, hit it and quit it." Good men are not gonna want to deal with that. So it's like, you know, cycle of you're just doing it to yourself. You're creating the outcomes that you're having. So I don't know. What do you guys think?